Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Navigating Now. I'm Molly Sutherland. I'll be your host today for our 278th episode of Navigating Now. I'm really excited today to kind of step back and pull back the curtain, if you will, on some of the incredible work that our team is doing. We recently, as a team, had our Q1 retro last month where we reflected back on Q1 of 2026. And one of my favorite slides was where Thatium has been. And there were all of these photos of across the country where our team has been. We've been in some really exciting work. So from Phoenix to LA to all across Texas to Vancouver to New York, we've had a lot of really exciting work going on. And so today I'm really excited to be joined by Carolyn McChesney, who recently joined the Thatium team as a senior director, and she really hit the ground running. So I'm excited to bring her in today because she's been right in the middle of a work stream that captures a lot of the kind of work we're doing right now, which is really around leadership teams, navigating change, doing some big work and doing it with clarity, speed, and a lot of heart as well. So let's bring Caroline on. Hello. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Excited to have you here today. I know for our viewers, we're going to do a proper Meet the Team episode next month. So you'll get to know, all of the personal and professional sides of things. But first, I would love to hear just what's something that brought you joy this week before we dive into the work side of things.
Sure, I love that. I think I've been in the office most of the week, and we always have some lo-fi music playing, and this has been lo-fi Usher on rotation pretty much nonstop. I don't know who's responsible for choosing the playlist this week, but it's made my millennial really, really happy. So that's been bringing me a lot of joy.
I love that. I feel like I always get kind of stuck in my musical go-to spaces, and I've been needing some new things. So I might have to try some of that office energy out at home. Get some lo-fi Usher. Ooh, I don't think I've listened to a lot of lo-fi, but I did not know there was lo-fi Usher in there as well.
Yeah, me either. It was a surprise.
That's so great. I love that. Well, I'm excited to dive into some of the work that you're getting to see with some fresh eyes here at Thatium. And one of the incredible things of when you came on just, a little over a month ago is we were starting up a really exciting new account and work stream. And so you've really been able to hit the ground running here at Thatium and step into that work to see everything we're doing firsthand. And so I'd love for you to kind of set the stage, what is this exciting project you've been working on? What are some of these kind of big elements that we're thinking about here? What did, the team and client first come to us, and what were they kind of asking for?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think this example, this piece of work is just such a wonderful example of how we approach our work. So the client came to us with an initial ask that was all about, we have a team of leaders who have come from all different parts of the business, and their business has grown really rapidly over the last few years, and now they're looking to scale. So they were used to operating in more of a startup way, and now they need an operating model and a leadership. And so while the initial remit was more, how do we create a high performing, which they're great at doing and have a ton of experience in, what we found as we got into the work and we spent a lot of discovery is that needs to be done, but there's also some operating model work that needs to get done as well. And so what we found is, yes, we need to be working on the team, but we also need to support them in the work that needs to be done so that they can scale for this next chapter. So it's been a constantly shifting project, but in a really interesting way.
Yeah. I love that. And I know it's been exciting to have you on because you're coming with a deep background of experience in this work as well. And so being able to step into that and partner with our team immediately has been incredible. And that's one of the things that, as you said, is a really unique way, but thing that I think is true across all of our work is we really believe in that kind of discovery piece and uncovering like, okay, what is truly happening? And sometimes that shifts, right? Like, as we know, the world is moving so fast. Asks are coming from every which direction. So like with that kind of change, and an initial ask maybe adjusting a little bit, like what did that kind of look like?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that this team, and I've been so impressed by the Thought team and their approach. One thing that this team has done really well is allowing that discovery phase to never really end. So I think
Mm.
sometimes, whenever we scope out a project and we put out our pretty project plan that we're so good at thinking through, we always have discovery at the very beginning. And it's important to start with that because we want to understand the business and the team and our clients and their current context. But it can be really easy to move through that phase really quickly. And I think it's a trap, for instance, right? We've seen this movie before. We know what their problem is. Let us diagnose it, and then we can get into problem solving. And I think what this team has done a really good job of is continuing the discovery phase throughout the course of it. So every conversation we have, we are listening, we are learning, we're trying to understand the specifics about the business, about this team, because things change so quickly, like you said, every single day. And so it's not saying we're done with discovery, we're continuing to discover and continuing to learn, which ultimately we really owe that to our clients.
Yeah, that is really fun. And I love that idea of like discovery is not just a phase. Like that may be where you kick it off, but it truly should live in the work in order to make that like, make sure that we're getting at the work that really matters. And so what would you say, as we're kind of in the heart of this project, what is some of that big work that matters? What is the team really excited about that we're working on right now?
Yeah. So I think there's the overarching piece around how do we get this new leadership team to work well together? So what are the behaviors, the mindsets, the rituals that they want to adopt so that they can show up and run this business that they care about really deeply? And then they have very specific, kind of verticals, different work streams that they're responsible for without disclosing too much. But it's about how does the work get done? And so these folks are responsible for making really huge decisions around the business, the team, the people, their clients. And it's really exciting to be part of those business conversations with them and bring our expertise and our perspective while also creating the space for them just to have the conversations they need to have, but can't always find the time, right, to have without kind of an external function helping force that a little bit.
Yeah. I love that call out too of just like having the conversation that needs to be had. We were at a conference a few weeks ago, and that was one of the questions that we asked is like, what is the conversation that needs to happen that isn't? And there's so many reasons why that's not happening. I feel like capacity, all of the to-do lists, the big thing that's happening now next week you didn't know about. Like there's so many reasons not to have that, but it's still you feel it when you don't. And so holding that space, having that container can be so powerful. What was there anything that you kind of saw either shift for this team as they like actually had the conversation to start to really dive into these things?
Yeah, I think so. We had an initial offsite with them, and we're getting ready to have another one. And at the initial offsite, um, I was so impressed in hearing the leaders talk about how open everyone was, because I think anytime there's a change effort, right? This is a big change initiative. Folks meet change with resistance. There's a very biological, neurological, natural response to like, oh, change is coming at me, and we naturally resist. And so as practitioners of change, we always anticipate there's going to be some of that in the room. And this group dropped their defenses really early on, spoke really candidly, and they adopted more of an enterprise mindset. They could have all been defending their functions, their departments, and they really thought about the business as a whole. And it was the first time that this leadership team had come together and had the space to actually engage with each other that way. And they noticed it. They said, this feels different than when we've done it in the past. And I do think it's a testament to them, absolutely, but it's also a testament to our facilitators and coaches who know how to create the space, even if that means deviating from the agenda, which we absolutely happen.
I know, so, I do a lot of like the design and prep work to make sure we have the materials we need for these. And I know it's a great thought team offsite when, halfway through, it's like I can see the deck totally changing. Or it's like we're actually totally pivoting because like this is what needs to happen in the room. And it's been so fun to be able to like see our team work the magic of figuring that out. Like it's such a dance, right? To know like here's where we need to get to. And also there's a few ways we could get there. Like here's our ideal plan. And if like a conversation needs to be a little bit longer or we uncover something else, like I've been so impressed with our team to be able to like do that slight pivot, a little bit of what we talked in the discovery process. Like we're not fully tied to this is exactly what it needs to look like. And I think that like responsiveness is so helpful for our clients to be able to like feel like we're in it with them.
Totally. I think it's a differentiator because there's a lot of consulting firms out there, right? And like many of them will say, here's a specific process. We have SOPs, we have a template, we'll pull it off the shelf, we'll apply it to your problem. And I think what we do really well is we listen, whether it's in that technical discovery phase or throughout the project. And then we stop and say, oh, what we initially thought might be great might not be the right approach. And, sometimes that's in the design phase. Sometimes it's in the room, to your point, where you're making live edits to the slide. But we owe that to our clients. It's a privilege to partner with them on these types of engagements and really help them think about the decisions they have to make. And so I think this team has done such a beautiful job of pivoting in the moment, allowing what's going to unfold to unfold, and the client gets the benefit of it, which is amazing.
Absolutely. And I think a result of that too is like, we get to feel like we're in the work together versus truly kind of having our separate ways with our clients. Like, I think like there is more of a partnership feeling in that, where it is like, let's co-create what that looks like together. And I think that's really nice because teams are carrying so much right now. And so I'm curious if you've seen and what it's looked like in this work for what does it really look like when we kind of show up to be in the work with them, to show up as partners, to kind of maybe take some of the weight off of all of those decisions and work that they are encountering every day.
Yeah. I mean, that's our role, right? That's why people hire us. I think a lot of times folks think you hire consultants for their expertise, which is true, but there's so much more to that. There's the whole relationship that we get to manage. And I think relief is the word that comes to mind when people are juggling all these different priorities and everyone's triple booked on their calendars. We had a meeting recently with a client and she, shared a lot of information, everything that was living inside her head. She just needed to get it out. And then when she took a breath, we were able to say, okay, yeah, that's a lot. We're here for you. We've got you. We can partner with you in these different ways. And you could just see her exhale and her shoulders fall a little. And that is such an important part of this job. We are there to hold and support and really partner with our clients because they need that. Leadership can be really isolating, but we don't want anyone to do it alone. We're here with them.
Yeah, I love that. It's just one of the more ways that like create the space really shows up in all those different ways, right? Is holding that space, being able to respond to what's happening in real time. And that feeling of like, yeah, we're here for you in this. How can we help? Like, how can we jump in and support? Especially because I think there is such this, as you mentioned, like you're bringing in consultants for this expertise and we can bring that. And also our clients have so much of the context and our ability to listen so deeply to match those has been so cool to see in our work, from change to strategy. I think seeing how those really line up makes a really cool impact for our clients too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you are hiring anyone to partner with you, you want them to understand your situation, right? I mean, even if it's something like remodeling a kitchen, I want someone to understand how I use my kitchen, right? That might be different from how you use your kitchen. And I think with our clients, we should take that same approach. Don't assume that we know the business just because we've worked in the industry before. Listen, really understand what's their context today, what's the team's context, and the season of the business. It's the best thing we can bring them.
Yeah, I love that. Every once in a while when we're in the office or if I'm on a call with someone, I'll come into a project a little bit later on to help with something, and like they're speaking like almost what feels like a totally different language because they've like been on the call with the client so much and like truly know like the ins and outs of and like the lingo and like the culture. And it's so fun to come in like 50% into a project to support our team and like see just the depth of that really start to play out has been fun. Yeah, I love that.
That's a really cool observation. I love that.
Well, I'd love to kind of like take a little bit bigger picture look at this, you know, as you think about kind of seeing Thoughtium in this work and what that looks like. I'm curious, like, what gives you the most excitement about this engagement? What's something maybe that you've seen in this that you really want to like bottle up and bring to every team that we work with?
Yeah. I think a few things. I think one is like we talked about, just continuing the discovery process throughout. I think that's such a great lesson learned, that the discovery phase never ends. We should always be learning about our clients. I think the ability to pivot is another, as we've talked about. I think, yeah, good consultants bring that expertise. Great consultants bring expertise plus adaptability. And then I think there's a lot of great IP that we have that we're going to be able to bring into this engagement. So I'm really excited to see how we can match our offerings to what they need and, you know, customize and tinker them as we expect to.
Yeah, I love that. That'll be so exciting to see that. And I know this project our team's really excited about. It's been fun to hear the updates for. So we'll have to have you back on once, you know, we wrap up several months or otherwise down the road to hear how it all landed and some of those additional lessons learned. But it was so great to have you here to bring a little bit of that work that we're in, and truly just a preview. We'll hear more from you in the next month or so. We can't wait for that episode to get to know you outside of the work as well a little bit, because we know we're humans and practitioners all in the same place. But love being in it with you, and so glad you're here at Thoughtium with us.
Thank you. Me too. Yep. Looking forward to the next one. Thanks, Molly.
Amazing. All right, team. Well, as we wrap up this episode, you know, if anything is resonating in this conversation, we love to talk about this. If you can't tell, we love to talk about navigating what is going on in the work world right now, navigating so much that teams are facing, that leaders are facing. So drop us a line. We'd love to chat. And we've got you. So thanks so much for tuning in and joining us. As always, we will be here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Navigating Now.